And we are rolling on October 24th, 2017, where it's a not so beautiful day in Los Angeles. In fact, on the west side of Los Angeles, it's downright hot. The breeze from the ocean is not blowing on us today. It's rather warm. But be that as it may, we're looking to Patricia to share with us a film that really moved her. She's standing before us in the power stance, managing attention, looking around, up, texting, put that evil phone away, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Make sure all eyeballs are upon you. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Good afternoon, my name is Patricia.
Hi, Patricia.
There is a great amount of people who enjoy thrilling roller coaster rides, but I can guarantee you that no one enjoys thrilling roller coaster rides of emotions. However, it is these roller coaster rides, the ups and downs, that bring out the best in life. They make you really appreciate the values, the morals, and the friends that you encounter. The film that really moved me was La La Land. It made me feel scared, it made me feel joyful, and it made me feel hopeful. This film will provide you with significant themes that you can use in your life or that you have experienced yourself. As a critic, Owen Gleiberman said in Variety of Los Angeles, the film La La Land is driven through melancholy, but it's the ups that it brings up through its old movie style that brings the audience to say, man, this feels good, because it is a pretty low roller coaster emotion. Now, the first way that this incident made me feel was joyful. It made me feel joyful when, the incident that made me feel joyful was when Sebastian and Mia were together. When they were, but before they went together, they were, Mia and her friends were in their apartment singing a fun number together, getting ready for their party. This reminded me of when I was with my friends in homecoming before that, in my friend's room, Mary's, and we were all singing together, having fun, getting ready in the restroom, and it made me feel really joyful because that group of friends have always been together since elementary school, but it was only until senior year when I got closer to them, and at that moment I felt so joyful, blissful, and appreciative. I was like never in that state before, but at that moment I was in the same wavelength, and it felt amazing.
Great.
But besides feeling joyful, I also felt scared. The incident that made me feel scared was when Sebastian and Mia parted ways. This made me feel scared because it reminded me of when I was scared. Was because back in high school, I was close friends with a guy also named Sebastian, and I thought we were soulmates. We were friends, nothing romantic, maybe a little bit, but we were soulmates. We helped each other in our careers, just as Sebastian and Mia did. But over some time, we stopped talking, and we still haven't talked in like a couple of years. Now, this incident made me feel scared because if he was my soulmate, will I ever talk to him again? I'm not sure. He kind of went down bad route. We don't even go to the same school. And I'm not sure if I want to reach out to him. So it's like kind of fearful. Made me really scared. Like after I got out of the movie, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I don't end up with my soulmate? What's going to happen to me? But another way that it made me feel, this is the increasing, we went down with the scare, now we're going back to the hopeful. The incident that made me feel hopeful was when, after some time that passed, Mia, out of nowhere, came out with a new husband and kids. And this incident made me feel hopeful because it reminded me of when I went to UCLA for the first time. I had no high school friends with me, so I had to start from fresh. I'm an introvert, so I don't like talking to people. Don't like talking to people I don't know because I don't care for them. It's pretty bad. But luckily, I had roommates that dragged me with them wherever they went and made me friends. And luckily, I now have a group of tight friends that I'm still hanging out with. And it made me feel hopeful because it made me realize that despite you having to start all over again, there's still going to be opportunities for you to grow again and be successful. In summary, I have told you how this film moved me in 3 different ways: joyful, scared, and hopeful. This roller coaster of emotions can be upsetting. I mean, you start okay, you feel you're on a high, then you go low, then you go back up. But it's these different emotions that bring out the best in life. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Okay. Let's start over here with Roberto.
Hello everyone, I'm Roberto.
Hi, Roberto.
I want to say you had really good body movement, like you didn't have no distracting movements, and everything you said kind of flowed with track. I thought that was really well.
Thank you, Roberto. Improvement.
Hi, I'm Jake.
Hi, Jake.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good speech. Improvement. Maybe just like you're a bit nervous. I don't know if it's because you like didn't remember it, but it was really good.
Tricia, liked your speech, liked the film you chose. It was a film that I think many people have seen and enjoyed, so you had a good audience that could remember and relate to it, and you had a lot of things going on that level, and that was good. You started with the metaphor of the roller coaster, and you said I enjoy it at the Magic Mountain, but not in life. When your emotions go up and down, it gets kind of boring. And you tied back and came back to the roller coaster, but you were kind of hesitant and not really sure about how to end your speech on a real bang, so it kind of ended on a whimper. And what happened in the end was you did a summary of the 3 ways the film moved you. And what you needed to say after that was the conclusion: there should be no doubt in this room that the film La La Land really did move me.
Right.
And then say, so, as I said in the beginning, the roller coaster ride of up and down emotions can be scary, but as the movie proved or suggested, it can also be beautiful. Something like that. But you just, when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you will see you just ran out of gas. And you were going to, that's it. And you want to end on a real bang. So that's the first thing. Your intro and thesis were all good. Your Owen Glimmerman quote from Variety was well spoken. Remember to say whether you agree or disagree with the quote. Everybody remember that, please. And you did print that you agreed with Mr. Glimmerman. And it was obvious you did, but remember to say it. Yeah. On joyful. Yeah. This was your best motion, Patricia. You really brought us back to your senior year. We could see you there in the bathroom with all your friends from elementary school, and you really relived it and sensed it. And we got a sense that you really felt the joy, and so we felt it too. That was great felt sensing. So that was excellent. On scared, you had a friend, quote, I don't know, with privileges, or a friend that was sort of a friend, just a friend, but sort of a friend, I don't know, whatever you said after that. But you also secretly thought he was a soulmate, or you really had a deep understanding of each other, and you had good talks, and you felt in retrospect he was more than a friend. He was a great guy, and he's gone, and you felt bad about him being gone. What kind of got lost in the storytelling was that why you were scared about that and the scaredness of it all. And what I wanted you to do was, and I'm scared that I'm not going to ever find somebody like Sebastian again that I'll be that close to again, and that's why I felt scared, and end on the emotion you're trying to communicate, and then pivot. Remember the pivot? Besides scared, I also felt hopeful. So we have a narrative that's running and a pivot in there. Yeah. On hopeful. You told us you came to UCLA and you didn't know anyone. And yet you were lucky. Your roommate took you in, took you with her to her friends. You made friends quickly, became part of a tight-knit group, and this made you realize that you could start anew and make friends and be successful. And so that was good. Just remember to return to the emotion at the end of it and say, and that's why I felt hopeful. Your summary was good. What do I want to talk to you about? I prefer you were walking quite a bit. I prefer it be left, right, center for first way, second way, third way, and the third way back in the center. You went first, second, third, left, right, and then about 5 movements before you finally got back to center. It's no really big deal, but there was a lot of movement in there, and it could be a little more purposeful with. You did move on the parts of the speech, which was better than just randomly moving, but I think it's a little stronger to just move on the parts and come back to the center for your climax. And I already talked to you about the ending. Let's talk about your canais. You said you want to articulate your words better, make better eye contact with your audience, and not have any pauses. How did it go, Patricia?
I think I articulated my thoughts better, my words.
Yes.
Catched up a whole lot more.
Yes.
The eye contact, I think I did make more eye contact than last speech, but there's still a lot more that I could do. I found myself looking down or just catching my thoughts and not looking at the audience when I was supposed to. And the last one, pausing. I did more pauses than the first speech, so I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, and that comes with preparation, obviously. Let's talk about your eye contact. Let's have you do a little exercise, work on it, okay? We're looking for 3 to 5 seconds, and when you're over here, you want to work this side of the room and really lock into Sydney, for example, and make 5 seconds of eye contact, but still glance over there at Roberto so you don't blow him off completely, but work that side of the room. When you're over there, work Iris and other people here, but still glance over here, yeah. And, so you still work the whole room. Let me see you tell us about your morning and start over here, and let me see you, I'll tap when it's been 5 seconds, okay?
So this morning I woke up at 8, went back to sleep, then woke back up at 8:30. I went down.
Right here, can you just go right straight
I
across
went
the room?
down to the Nev, grab a coffee and a butter croissant, because I'm hungry. And I went back up and was working on my self-evaluation.
Now, one of the things you do is you blink a lot. I prefer that you not blink. I start the time over when you blink. So try not to blink when you're making eye contact. Can you look at people without blinking?
I'll try.
Okay. Try it again. Start with Roberto again and don't blink. Yeah.
After working on my self-evaluation and speech,
Okay, that was 5. Okay, now Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
I knew that I was going to be in a rush, so I decided to just take a break from my writing
Better.
process and went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, changed, went back to the computer because
Okay, good. Did you feel the difference of what 5 seconds feels like and how you really make a connection with your audience? Okay. Overall, good job, and just practice more and work on, a good first impression and a stronger ending, and you'll be great. Thank you. Okay. Next will be Joel. Is there a Joel Iris? Eris?
Joel's my middle name.
Oh, sorry. Don't call me Joel. Eris.
I have the same movie.
She's an heiress to the throne. You have the same movie?
Yeah, so do you want to
How'd that happen? I'll go to someone else so we're not bored.
give it a break?
I'll give it a break. Wow, same movie. Interesting. All right, well, let's go to Sydney Lim.
I didn't know how to print out my review.
What are you mumbling to me, Sydney?
I said I didn't print out the review. Do you want me to bring it next class?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Movie reviews are fun to read, yeah. Okay, Chicago style, good. Let's see. Bibliography, Chicago style, excellent. Okay. All right, you're a little taller than Patricia. Okay. There you go. Oh, ooh, just a minute. My camera's acting up. My tripod's acting up. Okay. Sydney is in the power stand. Okay. Kyler's talking. She's looking around the room to make sure all eyeballs are on her. The computers are closed. The telephones are away. Yes. She says to herself, I respect my audience, and really means it. Fine, friendly eyes near the front and center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, I'm Sydney.
Hi, Sydney.
So it's not a surprise that in today's society there's a lack of equal representation in Hollywood films. So if I told you that USC did a study and that only 28% of on-screen characters were female and only 28% of on-screen characters were not white, would you be surprised?
No.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised either. So today I'm going to share a film with you that not only captured like minority and female representation, but that also really moved me. This was Disney's film Moana. So today I'm going to share with how this movie made me feel excited, sad, and angry. So a film review by Ashish Joshi, a scholar, a research scholar in India, he said, in its newest creation, Moana, Disney breaks the stereotypes by not only empowering women, but by portraying the uniqueness of different cultures. It breaks away from the centric white beauty and goes more towards normal girls who people can relate with. So the first way is, I agree with this because I think Moana can represent different cultures and different cultures all around the world. So it's not only white Disney princesses people are seeing. They can show and relate to different cultures. And I think it's also a film that can empower especially young teenagers to go after what they believe in. So the first way this movie made me feel was it made me feel excited. From the beginning, it started off with a folk tale that was from a not European culture, and that made me feel really excited. It reminded me of the first time I walked onto UCLA's campus 3 years ago when I was moving my brother into UCLA. I'd always grown up around white culture and like white neighborhoods, so I was really excited when I was walking down Greenwalk and all these Asian guys and girls were handing me flyers about like, oh, join this Asian sorority, join this Asian club, and I finally felt represented in my I felt like I was at home. It wasn't that I felt out of place. I wasn't the only Asian in a group full of 100 white kids. So that's why it made me feel excited. The second emotion this made me feel was it made me feel sad. This incident in the movie was when the grandmother died, and when she died, she told Moana to go, and she told her to go and brag on her mission. And this reminded me when my grandmother died when I was in middle school. I went to Seattle to see her, and it made me really sad because she was always the strongest, most cheerful soul. But when she was laying in her deathbed, she told my brothers and I, she took us by the hand, she said, make sure you always go after what you believe in, never give up, and always treat people the way you want to be treated. She was always the kindest soul I've ever met. And this just reminded me how, in the movie, Moana's grandmother motivated to do stuff, my grandmother always motivates to do stuff in the back of my mind. So that's why I was sad. The last way this film made me feel was angry, not only at myself, but at my father as well. It was when Moana's father was encouraging her to always go and be the chief he wanted her to be and not go follow her mission in the water. This reminded me of last year when I was applying for internships in the summer. And all my dad would talk to me was about networking, internships, keeping my connections. He'd always say to me, I got you these connections, don't waste them. And I just wanted to have a normal conversation with my father like any daughter would, and not have it always be academic with career focus. But I wasn't angry just at him, for pushing myself. I was angry at myself for not wanting to believe him and not wanting to take in his advice. Because like Moana's father, my father just wanted what was best for me. And I wish I would have seen that back then, rather than getting angry and going to my mom and complaining about how my dad only cared about my academics. So that's why I felt angry. But in summary, this movie made me feel a variety of emotions. It made me feel excited, it made me feel sad, and it also made me feel angry. In conclusion, I don't think there should be a doubt in this room that Moana really moved me. And I hope that we can take that 28% that I mentioned in the beginning and make that percentage go up so that we are no longer surprised when we see a strong female minority lead. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're somewhere over here. Yes, please. Hi, Laura.
I liked how comfortable you were up there and how confident you were when you spoke, and also I liked the detail that you gave.
Yeah, let's all turn off our phones like I
Your
didn't.
grandma.
Thank you. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Sam.
I'm sorry, could I hear your comment again? I was busy turning off my phone, so have a seat, Sam.
I'm Laura.
Hi, Laura.
I said that I liked how comfortable you were up there and how confident, and the detail that you gave when you spoke about your grandma.
Yeah, and the details are often what makes a good story come alive. Not too many, not too few, but you know what? We're going to stuff. And let us infer it was sad. She gave us enough and enough to make it real. Yes, please. Improvement.
Hi, I'm Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, I completely agree with Laura. I thought you did a great job. I thought that at certain points...
Hands out of your pocket, please.
I felt that your body language felt kind of a little closed off. I thought you did kind of a good job communicating with your eyes and everything, but sometimes you're kind of holding your wrists like that and stuff.
Yeah. That is just tightness like this together with her hands. Okay, good. Well, you'll notice that tonight, Sydney, on YouTube. Okay, that's why we tape it, so you can see yourself, watch yourself 3 times. Yeah, gosh, I really liked your speech, and you really had it down. You had practiced it. Now, I like this arresting fact that you opened with 28% female, 20% non-white. You know, gosh, it was a killer. You know, it was a sit up and take notice kind of statistic, and it was quoted from a good source, USC. They have a respectable communication. The Annenberg School is there, and they have a good film department. So, you know, it was a quality quote from a quality school, and it was a good grabber. you tied back beautifully in the end to say, let's do something about that rotten statistic. And so that was good. You can stand a little bit more over that way in the center. Thank you very much. Good. So, you went to your thesis, and what was the time, by the way?
He's gone.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll ask him when he gets back. You were zipping along, is one thing I would say. I like to see some vocal variety, some slowness, fastness, highness, lowness, you know. Be a little more interesting in your style. Okay, so because it's not that you're monotone, you weren't, but just be a little more interesting in your delivery, because that makes someone like that is more interesting to listen to, right? Okay. So we did excited, sad, and angry. You had a good quote, which you knew, and you talked about, you had the money quote in the review that talked about the importance of the shifting away from one standard of beauty to another, so it was consistent with the theme that you were making, and that was excellent. And then you almost forgot to say, I agree with this review, but you did, bless your heart, thank you, and that was good. So, you, I see in your Chicago citation, it was from the Annenberg School, so that's nice. On your, what was the time, Tyler?
I think it was 4:18.
4:18, yeah. See, so you could have taken another whole minute, and because you get 5:15, so take it next time. Yeah. On excited, yeah. You talked about that you were excited that it was a folk tale from a different culture, and you talked about when your brother came and you were approached by people from Asian clubs, and you saw, and it's one of the important things about UCLA is we're proud of our diversity, not just of different groups, but of points of view as well. And so you liked that, and that was, your important issue that made you excited. So what I want you to do more of is, and I've been telling everybody this, is do that pivot. So besides excited, I also felt a little sad. Then go into why you felt sad, and so that helps your narrative be a little more prominent. Okay? Your best story was your grandmother dying and your feelings that you remembered and felt sensed about how sad you were when that occurred and what she said to you, and the words of wisdom that she gave to you on the deathbed. But you needed to tie that back and say, and now that she's gone, like the scene in the movie, same death, I too felt sad. But besides sad, I felt angry. And it's too late for Sydney, but not for the rest of you. Could you all remember to please pivot so your narrative is more prominent? Yeah. On angry, yeah. Well, gosh, if that's your dad's biggest, your grievance against your dad is he was a little bit excessively interested in you academically. I guess he's doing okay, and that seems to be pretty picky to me, but I'm a dad and I have done these things. I've gotten internships from my children because I'm very well connected. Having been here 40 years, I know a lot of people in a lot of industries. And I've opened doors, and, you know, it's the way it works. And, you know, I encourage my children to, when the doors are open, to walk in and take advantage of the doors that are open, because, you know, not everyone can get in the doors, and, you know, etc. You know, so I wasn't really very convinced that this was something to be angry over, but I guess you were, so whatever. Okay, good. Your summary was good. Your conclusion was excellent. You got to there should be no doubt in this room with this film, and you said the name of the film, and so we heard it, you know, a couple times, and that's good. And you had a really excellent tie back to the 28%. Let's look at your canais now. I hope to work the room by walking around and not just standing in one place. I hope to speak more clearly and slowly, even though I'm nervous, and I hope to keep my power stance and make sure my hands are not distracted. How'd it go?
I think the first one I walked around more, so I
Yeah.
think I did better on that one.
Yeah.
The second one, I was definitely so nervous.
Yes.
I need to slow down, especially in the beginning, just like take a
Right.
breath.
Right.
The last one, I tried doing better with my power stance and hand movements. I
Yeah.
still found myself doing some of them, but I think it was better than last time.
When you this is a good piece of advice for everybody. When you move, there's a tendency not to get back in the power stance when you're over there and over there, to put your feet together, and you should go back into the power stance after you move. Speaking more slowly, if you tell the person you're practicing with, a live person and not a mirror, that that's your goal, they can just say, "Slow down, Sydney," or, you know, let's see some emphatic style of speaking, and not just, you know, this rapid fire delivery. But overall, really excellent job, excellent speech, and you made a case for us to believe that this film really did move you. So thank you. Okay. So are you ready to do La La Land, or should I take another person, another B? Okay, let's hear from Harnor. What?
The review. The movie.
Yeah, bring me the movie review. Yeah. Is Harnor in the house?
Yes.
Yeah. Good job, man.
I also don't have the film review with me. I'll bring on Thursday.
Okay, good. Let me check your Chicago. Good, yeah. And the bibliography in Chicago style, excellent. From the deep internet, excellent, yes. Nice, yeah, your nice contrast to the white background, thank you. Very good. Harnor stands before us, man. He's on his phone. Put that evil phone away. Jesus, I told you no texting in class. What could be more important than this class? I love you, darling. Come on. Right. Managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally. Say to yourself, I respect my audience and really mean it. Find friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi guys, my name is Harnor.
Hi, Harnor.
Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. That is the name of my favorite movie. It's a Bollywood movie, and translated directly from Hindi, the title means sometimes happiness and sometimes sorrow. And so this film is about a younger brother that tries to reunite his older brother and father after they have had a fight over arranged marriage. And I find this film to be very relatable And I believe that film reviewer Derek Ellie also agrees. He says that this film transcends generations and pits Indian values against Western influence attitudes. And I think that this film does transcend generations, and I agree with him, because I think that everyone can sometimes agree with the question, sometimes relate to it, that should I put myself first or should I put my family first? Today I'll be talking to you guys about how this film moved me in 3 ways. It made me feel excited, it made me feel conflicted, and it made me feel filial. This film, I believe, is a very good way to talk about how people not living in India anymore still try to maintain their culture. I'll begin by talking about how this first made me feel excited. There's an opening scene in the movie where they talk about and celebrate their parents' 50th anniversary, and it's a huge dance number. There's like flashing lights, there's colorful dresses, and there's dozens of dancers. And this film scene reminds me of when I went to India my sophomore year of high school, and I celebrated my cousin's sister's wedding. And I was chosen to be her maid of honor. It was my first time being like someone's special person for their wedding like that. And I felt very, very excited waking up the day of her wedding. I woke up at 5 a.m. and she had woken up at 4 a.m. and it was so early, but it didn't even matter because I knew that I had such an eventful day to look forward to. I remember going to the salon when it was still dark out, and we got our makeup done, we got our hair done, we put on our dresses, and we felt pampered. And I'm not sure if you guys have like seen Indian weddings, but they're pretty lavish, they're pretty fancy, I would say. They make you feel like royalty. And that day I did feel like a Bollywood star, I'm not gonna lie. And I remember that I quite literally danced the night away. My feet hurt, my cheeks hurt from smiling. And I remember looking around and seeing everyone's joyful faces. And I remember thinking, like, this is making me so excited for my own wedding. However, even though this scene did make me feel excited, this film also makes me feel conflicted about societal and family expectations. It makes me wonder what's going to happen in my future. So there's a scene in the film where Rahul, the older son, fights with his dad, and he leaves for London with the love of his life, Anjali. And it reminds me of when my aunt told me a story from when she was younger, how when she was trying to get married to the love of her life, her family basically shunned her. They didn't approve of her husband. They didn't approve of who she wanted to marry. And I remember like seeing her face, remembering her recalling how much she cried every night because she couldn't talk to her parents. And it made me contemplate what's going to happen when I try to get married. Because I'm pretty opinionated and I'm pretty liberal, so I don't necessarily have a problem opposing the more conservative members of my community, but I know my parents don't feel as distant from that tradition as I do. And it just makes me feel distressed and feel conflicted because I know that my decision will make them unhappy because even though they will support me, they want me to be with whoever I want to be with, I don't want them to deal with the scorn that they might possibly deal with. So that's what makes me feel conflicted about my future. Lastly, this film makes me feel filial. This film, if you couldn't tell already, it's pretty heavy on like how family deals with like parents and children relationships, and I'm such a sucker for that kind of trope. Like this film, there's a scene where Anjali's son recites the national anthem for India in front of like a huge crowd in England, and it reminds me of when I was in Sunday school in front of my temple. I had to recite a traditional Indian poem, and I remember feeling really, really stressed that day because it was hot, not unlike today. I remember feeling stuffy, and I remember sweating from not only the heat but also the nerves because I had to talk about a poem that I didn't know the meaning of. And today, I honestly still don't know the meaning of it. It's very traditional. But I remember looking out into the crowd and seeing my mom's face. I remember her beaming at me. She was so proud that I was maintaining our culture. And even though I don't know what the poem meant, I knew that it meant a lot for her. And so that's what I carried forward with. And that's why that's why this scene makes me feel filial. It reminds me of the duty and responsibility I have towards my parents for making sure what they sacrificed to come to America was applied for. In conclusion, I chose this film because I want to talk about how it made me feel excited, conflicted, and filial. There should not be a doubt in this room that this film I find very relatable and I find to be somewhat of a guide for me in life. I try to remember that there will be kushi, there will be happiness in my life, as there will be sorrow. Because there is happiness and because there is sorrow, I'm able to recognize one and the other and value each other and learn from the pains that I have and the obstacles that I will have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. What was the time?
4:50.
4:50. Good. Okay, we're somewhere over here. Yeah, I don't know where. I guess here with old Matthew, Marcus, and John.
Well, I liked your speech.
Hi, Matthew.
Hello. Yeah. I liked your speech. The stories you gave were very compelling. Like you created the connection between, well, at least for me, you created the connection between the audience, which is very good. And you also were pretty, you didn't pause too much that I remember, so that was good. And I've also seen that movie as a kid too,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Iris.
Hi, Iris.
The only, if I had to say something that you could,
You do.
I would say you kind of started off a little fast, and then I found some places you talked a little bit faster. So, yeah, but besides that, it was I really Thank you.
Hi, Nora. Yes. Really excellent speech. You're real smart. It's real clear. You're a bright woman. And it's clear you are. And that's great. But let's talk about Iris's comment first. You started fast and went faster. It was kind of like a roller coaster ride of going on a trip with you. Now, I'm the debate coach, so I'm used to really fast talk, and so, I was enjoying the ride, but I'm not sure everyone else was or will in real life. This isn't real life, and so I like to see vocal variety. I'd like to see you start slower. I'd like to see you get slower on your emotional parts. When you slow down a little for your excitement. I wish when you were talking about how bad you felt about your aunt being ostracized, that was just, and, I realize the model sort of did that too, but, Okay, well, let's go through it and let's talk about some of the positives and negatives, but that's a big thing I'd like to see you work on. Your intro was good. You went to the SIG statement and gave us the quote and said you agreed, then doubled back up to your thesis, which was fine, and told us that you felt excited, conflicted. And your third word, it's a word that I'm not sure that is in everyone's vocabulary. So I would be careful about using words that are, I realize it's in your vocabulary, but be careful about using words that are not in common usage, okay? Yeah. So, your review, and you agreed with it, was excellent. I really liked the first feeling of excitement. You really relived it. We really were there with you, getting up at 4 in the morning and going to the salon and being pampered. You really relived it. You sensed it, and we got it. Even though it was quick, we got it. It was good. And so, that was well done. Okay? And you had a good pivot to say, but I also felt conflicted. And here you, in my judgment, went too fast and kind of skipped over your own feelings about your poor aunt and, what happened to her. And you kind of related it back to yourself and what are you going to do when you fall in love with Kyler and bring him home. It's like, whoa. You're going to see him on a white horse, right? So, but, it's depending on how strong your love is and the source of your convictions, because this is a major decision to make whether you're going to be true to this tradition Now, I'm assuming, obviously, you're not going to let your parents select your mate. That would be ridiculous. But, I think, you're probably keeping an extra eye out for Indian guys. Maybe not. Okay, well, great. Well, good. Good for you. But in any case, let's not digress too much. Just on your second point about conflicted, we got your conflict. You could have expressed it a little bit more succinctly, and we could have brought it to a head. What am I going to do when I have to tell them or do this? And then I would have liked you to have pivoted between conflicted and your last emotion, filial. So you didn't, and then you told us about the national anthem and fulfilling your family tradition and how strongly you liked that, made your parents proud, and how much the movie made you feel that way. And we got that feeling, but I think it was a little abstract. Just me. Your summary was good. Your conclusion got to the point that there's no doubt in this room, and that's the important thing, that this film moved you. And your tie back was excellent. Let's talk about your canais. Walk with purpose. Speak slower, and enunciate more. How'd it go?
Compared to the respect speech, I think I walked with a bit more purpose. I think I can still improve because I caught myself looking down at the floor when I think I was going between my first and second point, I believe.
Yes.
And then I did not speak that slowly. I have to work on that. I noticed that when I was rehearsing too, that I was going faster than I anticipated.
Yeah.
That's something I have to work on. And for enunciating, I think if I go slower, that'll go hand in hand with enunciating more.
Here's the deal, Arnor. You got it in 450. You had a whole boatload of stuff to say here. You had a lot of details about your aunt, a lot of details about your family, a lot of details about your cousin's wedding. And you're just going to have to learn to edit and say less and trust yourself that now when you start reading the sticky text, you're going to see what the guys from Stanford are talking about simplicity, of boiling this down to the core, to the essence of what you're trying to get at, and let the fluff go away. Right? Yeah. So, that's what I would suggest for that. And so when you practice with a live person, not a mirror under time conditions, if you have to edit even more, tell that person, I'm trying, to slow down. And even if I have to say less or cut out some details, I will slow down. Now, where you cut is plot summary in this particular case, and where you don't cut is in your emotions, where you're felt sensing. Because that's where you get the payoff for the speech. That's where you get the emotional connection, which was the goal of the speech, to make a strong emotional connection 3 times. In my opinion, you got it 2.5 times. So, anyway, good job, Arnor. Thank you. Okay, let's hear from La La Land. Yeah.
I'll bring my review in on Thursday too. But I
Okay.
have
Let me check your work. Oh yeah, Chicago style. Good. And no bibliography. Oh, you're fired. You gotta have a bibliography, Chicago style. Too. So footnote and the bibliography.
Okay. I looked up both versions and then I put the footnote.
Okay, Eris. Let's rock and roll. Let me get you. You're a little taller. Okay. There you go. Stands before us. Start texting again. Jeez. Finding friendly eyes. You're texting? Put that evil phone away. Jesus Christ. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, I'm Eris.
Hi, Eris.
So, living in the entertainment capital of the world, it also means we live in one of the most coveted cities, which is Los Angeles. And as a part of this, we become, I think, a little more aware living here of how cutthroat the lifestyle is here as far as living near Hollywood and acting and all that. And so that is why I chose La La Land as the film that moved me, because it made me feel anxious, hopeful, and mournful, all while kind of making me realize how competitive it can be to just simply live here. So the first emotion that I felt when I watched the movie was anxious, because Sebastian and Mia, which we heard are the two main characters in the movie, are both trying to make their dreams come true in the City of Stars. And Sebastian's trying to open up his own jazz club, and Mia's trying to become an actress. And I remember sitting in the theater and just thinking that my career path that I want to take is probably completely wrong at this point, because I want to go into directing and producing, which is kind of the more behind-the-scenes aspect. But in that regard, it's even more competitive than just using a pretty face to get in front of the camera. So I was kind of sitting in the theater, and this was like Christmas time, and everything's happy, and then I realized my life is completely over because I need to change what job I want, and I've worked years to try to build my skills towards that specific career. And then, so that was the first emotion I felt when we initially were introduced to these two characters. I just thought, oh my god, I'm going to school in Los Angeles in a few months, I'm trying to make my dreams come true, and it's not going to happen. And so that was the first thing that I thought when I watched this movie. And then the second thing, the thing that calmed me down a little bit as the movie went on was that I felt a little more hopeful, because eventually Sebastian and Mia, with each other's help, they finally achieve their goal. So Mia gets an audition with Sebastian's help, and Sebastian opens up his club with Mia's support. And during these scenes when they were finally reaching the goals that they wanted to achieve, I kind of thought of my friends back home that I worked with on like multiple short films, and all the video production people I met, and how they're all kind of chasing the same dream that I am. And a lot of them are doing the same thing. They're kind of either getting internships in LA or going to school in LA and kind of just figuring it out. And I realized that I probably have a bigger support system than I think I do, because first moving out here, I thought I was going to be on my own, and that it would probably be too hard, and I'd eventually end up with just a 9-to-5 office job that I didn't want. And so that was a better part of the movie. This was probably about halfway, and I felt a little more hopeful about where my future was going, and I felt a little more confident. And the third feeling that I had was mournful, because, as you guys heard, again, Sebastian and Mia don't end up together, but they both achieve their dreams. So this was kind of more of the point where I realized the whole movie was a slap to the face, kind of making you realize like what exactly sacrifice is that sometimes you can achieve certain goals, but you're going to have to let some things go. And Erica Balsam from the Sight and Sound magazine says, La La Land remembers when movies were magical and fun, blending nostalgia with contemporaneity to make a sweet love letter to cinema. And I agree that it's really nostalgic, because it's kind of like a 1950s theme, and it's really cute and kind of brings you back to when movies were a little simpler and less kind of CGI'd. But I have to disagree with the part of it being like a love letter, because honestly the whole concept of the movie was that sometimes you can achieve your dreams, or you actually can do whatever you want to, but sometimes it's going to come with a big sacrifice. And I think the whole concept of the movie was more to make you realize that, and make you realize that even if you end up finding the love of your life or your soulmate, you might have to give them up for your career, or vice versa. And I think that's kind of the whole main point of this being about an aspiring actress and a jazz musician trying to like kind of build their lives up from the bottom, and like supporting each other, and then ending up not together, which was the ultimate disappointment of the movie, I think. So because of that, I felt anxious, hopeful, and mournful. And these all kind of related to me because I realized that, like, coming here, I lost some friends because college admissions were really competitive, and I might not be going into the entertainment industry confidently because it's really cutthroat. But overall, I think the movie taught me that you can achieve your dreams. There's just going to be some sacrifices along the way. And overall, I think that's why this movie moved me the most. Thank you.
Okay. Where are we? Here, yes, please.
Hi, I'm Oriana.
Hi, Ariana? Oriana. Hi, Oriana.
Hi. I thought you spoke really naturally and comfortably, and I also thought that you made really good emotional connections with the movie.
Okay. Improvement?
I'm Justin.
Hi, Justin.
You were grabbing your hand a lot.
Yeah.
At the beginning, and you did the hand motions, but you were kind of grabbing your hand.
I enjoyed your movie and your speech, and I'm glad we had a space, so we didn't have it immediately afterwards. I try to make it so we don't have doing the same movie. I don't know what happened, but whatever. Yeah. Let's talk about the first thing that Justin talked about. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, the way you're grabbing your hand now, if you can just let them practice be by your side and keep them there. It was an insecure thing. You were grabbing your hands and pinching your hands together nearly throughout the whole speech. And instead of gesturing with your hands, you were doing this most of the time, and occasionally let them loose and back to this. And so work on becoming aware of what your hands are doing and try to let them gesture. Okay, you talked about your opening was, we live in the entertainment capital of the world, and it can be cutthroat, and I guess your intro was sort of an observation about where we live. I don't know if it was a story or not, but your next time I'd like you to use the choice of a poem, a quote, a story, a joke, or a rhetorical question, but your observation was okay, and it was related to the movie, and you kind of tie back to it. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you'll see that you really jumped around a great deal with the pattern of organization I gave you, which was cool, I guess. You skipped over the significant statement and review, but you knew you did, so you stuck it in at the end, and that was pretty seamless. That was okay. So you got it in. That was good. And you managed to both agree and disagree with it, and that was good. On your first emotion, you said it made you anxious. And the story that you talked about was when you sat in the theater and watched this, you said, oh my God, I'm screwed. I'm chosen the wrong career. I'm never going to make it, and this is awful. Right? So I guess that was your anxious moment, and I wish you would have developed it a little bit more, but that was your anxious moment, and so that was fine. I wanted you to pivot then besides anxious. I also felt hopeful. Then you told the plot story, and then it reminded you of your friends, and you said, compared to what my friends have, I feel kind of hopeful. I have a few more extra advantages. I guess I didn't really get a strong emotional connection with the hopefulness, but it was there. I want to remind you that it'll help you relax, Aaron, if you move 3 times and not just stand in one spot. Okay? So relax your hands, let them be by your side, And where I really where you really lost me was on your mournful emotion, because I didn't get any personal story of you being mournful. I know you were mournful in relation to what happened in the movie about them sort of separately achieving their dreams and not being together, which was kind of sad, but happy, but sad. But I didn't get a personal story from you of what made you mournful, or do you fear that's going to happen to you or something? I don't know. I didn't get the mournfulness. Your summary was fine, and where we got kind of, and then you went into your film review, and then I needed it. There should be no doubt in this film, La La Land really moved me, and then I needed to tie back to that expression, the cutthroat. And also I needed to have 3 canailles. So, by the way, folks, if you haven't written in your canailles on, if you haven't typed them already in your outline, write them in.
I thought we were, okay.
Write them in now, folks, if you don't have them on your outline, so that we...
I thought we just recited them.
What were they? Recite them. What are your
My
canailles?
gestures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
with hands. More walking.
Uh-huh.
And then I think go over the organization more than like the outline, or over the organization of the outline, because I focus more on the story rather than the order.
Yeah.
And then I lost order today.
Okay. And when you put the outline down, if you put what 7 stands for tie back, that will help you remember what you're supposed to be doing. And that will help you. But overall, you got the job done. And we heard another story about La La Land. Thank you. Do we have time for one more or not?
Yeah.
It's kind of close because I have it in my other class. But okay, we'll try it. Okay. All right, let's go for let's hear from Tess. Tess Horowitz. Tess Sarah Horowitz. She's in the bathroom? Oh, how convenient. Okay, good. So, what is that? How about Timothy Russell Gibson? Yeah. Should have gone to the bathroom.
I should have.
Yeah.
I do not have a copy of my review. I can get you that on Thursday.
Promises, promises. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do that.
Okay. I hope I have enough battery to get through you. If not, your critique may bite the dust, but we'll see. Let's rock and roll. Are you on the phone again? No, good. Managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally. Finding from the check the sky over here. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech, Timothy.
His name was Maximus Decimus Meridius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and he would have his vengeance in this life or the next. See, you guys laughed, but a couple of you got that look in your eye of this intensity because you know the moment from Gladiator, my favorite film. You know that look that Russell Crowe has in his eye of pure anger and hatred. And you know the intensity of that film in that moment and many more. So that is my favorite film, Gladiator. It provides an incredible critique of mob mentality and spectacle while also telling a great story of vengeance with some awesome action scenes as well. In my speech today, I'm going to tell you about 3 ways the movie made me feel. It made me feel sad, it made me feel angry, and it made me feel triumphant. Elvis, what's his last name? Elvis Mitchell.
Presley.
Elvis Mitchell of the New York Times says that when an actor commits himself to a role as much as Russell Crowe does in the grandiose and silly Gladiator, you may ask why, while also thanking him for his commitment to the part. Now, I disagree with some of this review. I do not think that the movie Gladiator was grandiose and silly, and I think that history also proved Mitchell wrong when the film was awarded the Best Picture Oscar. But I do agree that Russell Crowe should be thanked for his commitment to the part. And when asked why, I would say, well, it did win him the Best Actor Oscar that year. So now to how the movie made me feel. First off, it made me feel sad. It made me feel sad.
We gotta stop.